Salam, and welcome to the Persian kitchen. My name is Michael Farzi, and today we'll be making Ghormeh Sabzi, a traditional Persian dish. Ghormeh Sabzi is one of many khoresh, which are Persian stews. The basis of is a mixture of herbs. First we fry the herbs, and then we put it in the stew of meat. And this is the technique that we will be focusing on today, which is stewing. The idea of slowly cooking meat along with different ingredients to bring out the flavor and tenderize the meat. So let's get started.
Hi, I'm Hannah. Right now I am chopping some onion that we're going to put in the sabzi, and we are also going to have another onion for the meat separately. And when we combine these together, we're going to use a technique called stewing to make sure that all of the herbs and the onion and the meat all can intermingle, and it should make a really good flavor. Alright, well, we're going to try a cool technique chopping the onion called latticing. We're going to go vertical first, one more, and then horizontal. You can begin to see that it's cut into nice little squares. It saves a lot of time, especially when you have a lot of prep to do for a dish like this. Alright, and then finally, I turn it on its side and start cutting in. And you have perfect little squares there, nice and diced.
I'm Molly, and so here we have our mixture of sabzi, and that is parsley, leek, and fenugreek, and it's a dried mixture, and you can buy it in the store. So beforehand, for about an hour, we just soaked it in water to let our greens rehydrate. And so right now we're going to strain out all of that extra water. The reason that the greens come dried is so that they can last longer, so you can have the greens any time of the year, not just when they're in season.
So now that we have our sabzi strained, we're going to add our onions and fry them together. Now the first step is to fry the sabzi and onions without any oil so that we can evaporate the rest of the liquid in the sabzi. So we'll do that right now, and I've preheated our pan. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let this fry for a little bit, and in a couple of minutes I'm going to add some oil. So now we're going to add oil to the sabzi so it actually fries. And this brings out more flavor. Traditionally, Persians use lamb oil. We're using olive oil. You can also use vegetable oil. Just kind of want to mix that together and let it fry. And this takes another good few minutes. It should change color. It should start turning brown, actually. Because you also want the onions to caramelize as well.
Well, I'm going to rinse our beef chuck in some cold water to make sure that if there was any contaminants while it was being prepared, that we get that out. I'm going to make sure that we get our meat cleaned and dried. And the reason why we're drying it is because we want the beef to caramelize and the sugars to come out while we're frying it. So if we pat it dry after we're done rinsing it, then that should happen nicely.
So now this has been frying for about 10 minutes. You can see it's starting to change color, and we're getting all those nice flavors out. So we're going to turn off the heat and set it aside.
We're going to get started on our stew. We're going to put a little bit of olive oil in our pot, and we're going to put our meat in, and you do the meat a batch at a time because you want to cook it just enough so that it's brown on the outside and you keep the juices inside. Actually, it all fit in the pan, so we just have one layer. If you want to take a look in here, we have one layer of meat so that every piece of meat can touch the bottom of the pan. So we have that cooking in there. We're going to put some salt and pepper in here. So next we're going to add some turmeric, which happens to be one of my favorite spices. And this is what differentiates this stew from most Western stews. And also the sabzi is what differentiates other Persian stews from this stew, because the sabzi is what gives this stew its name. And we're going to add onions. And we're going to saute these up. Give them a nice caramel color. We're going to caramelize them. Mix those in with the meat.
So now we're preparing our dehydrated lemons to add to the stew. And in Persian cooking, sour flavors are often used in the place of salty. But before you want to put them in the dish, you rinse them off, as we've done here, and then you want to put little holes in them so they can actually absorb the water and expand.
Okay, so what we're going to do next is turn down our heat to medium. Once we've done that, we're going to add enough water so that the meat is fully covered and the pot is about half full. And then after adding the water, we're going to add the dried lemons that we've already prepared.
So now we're going to rinse our kidney beans, and they're going to be used later on in the stew, but we want to make sure that we get all the excess juice that it's been soaking in the canning process out. And now we're going to head over to our stew, and we are going to add about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste to the stew. So, just 1.
So an important side to every Persian dish is rice. And we are cooking a basmati rice. And an important step before cooking it is to rinse it off. You want to rinse it until the water is clear. And after that, you want to put it in a pot of boiling water. We salted it previously. So we're going to strain off that excess water. And then pour this basmati rice into the boiling water. And let it boil for about 7 to 8 minutes. So now that our rice is done boiling, we're going to strain it. What makes Persian rice special is at the bottom there's this crunchy part called tahdig, which is basically just butter and slightly burnt rice. So how we make this is we're going to put a full stick of butter in the pan, let it melt. And you want some sort of steamer pot like this, where the edges are rounded so that you get like a nice rounded tahdig. Now, for special occasions, you often see very brightly yellow rice, and that's because saffron is put in it. And saffron is a very expensive ingredient, which is difficult for a college budget, so unfortunately we're not doing that, but that's another option. And when you do that, sometimes you put a little bit of rose water in there to add flavor. So our butter is almost melted here, and I'm going to pour out about half of it. Pour this out. Alright, so now we're going to put our rice back in. And an important part is you want to fluff the rice back so it doesn't clump together, so it steams properly. Just kind of fluff that around there. Make sure the butter's all even. And then what you do is you kind of make a mound and make little holes so it can steam. And then you can put the rest of your butter on there and turn it way down low. Otherwise, your tahdig is going to be way too burnt. And then put the top on and let this cook for as long as you can on really low heat, because then your tahdig gets very thick. But at least an hour.
Our rice is just about done, and our Harash has been in the pot for about an hour now. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the beans that we prepared earlier. Put that in the stew pot. Careful not to splash yourself. So we are adding the beans, and then the Sabzi that we made earlier as well. And then once this is all in the pot, we're going to let it stew for about another half hour.
So we soaked and fried the sabzi, we caramelized the onions, and we let everything stew together. The longer that you cook the stew, the longer the flavors have time to come together. So this dish really is perfect when you eat it as leftovers, because that really lets all of the different flavors combine and mesh into something really beautiful. So our khoresh is ready to eat.
Nushijam!